to tell you that up until about 5 years ago, I refused to accept the fact that I was diabetic. So I understand exactly what you guys go through when you hear that diagnosis that you are possibly diabetic. Because there are some waves that we go through. No one really wants to hear that. And it's a fight. And I'm gonna tell you that you've gotta push and you gotta fight through it, because until you come to accept that, then it's a big challenge. Okay? So let's talk about it. For anyone with diabetes experiencing negative emotions such as anger, frustration, hopelessness, fear, guilt, and shame is very common. Let's start with the first one, anger. 2010, I'm in California, enjoying vacation, but I'm wondering why is it that every time the bus stops, I need to run to use the restroom? And secondly, why is it that I'm so thirsty? Didn't think anything about it, so came back, went to the doctor, had all my vitals done, and then she says that I have to put you on tablets because you're diabetic. And I'm saying to her, that makes no sense, because you've been seeing me for the past 3-4 years, and each time I come to the doctor, you tell me everything is fine. So how is it that you saw me in January? Okay, it's now May, and you're telling me that I'm diabetic. Well, I'll tell you something. I was so angry with her that I haven't gone back to her. I changed doctors. I changed doctors because I was angry. Because I said, you've allowed this to happen to me. You see where I put the blame? You've allowed this to happen to me. Okay? And then I was frustrated. Because here it was, she was telling me all these different things. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that. I didn't want to do it. And it was frustrating for me, but it was also frustrating for my family. Because I shared it with my wife, and she was saying to me, well, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, what did the doctor say to you? And I'm saying, what did the doctor say to me? Hopelessness. Then I start to look, and every time I hear something about a diabetic dying, oh gee, that just did something. I no longer wanted to see the obituaries on a Thursday. You see? And then you hear people, people can be so cruel sometimes. So you see that person there, that 60-year-old man, how he died? Charlie had sugar. And that's a cringe up, because now I'm saying to myself, life is hopeless. Okay? I'm gonna die young, I'm gonna leave these children. Okay? You begin to associate diabetes with a death sentence. So there's fear. There's also guilt. And then there's the shame. Okay? You don't want to talk about it. You don't want anyone to know. So I kept it a secret for almost 5 years. I refused to admit. I refused to tell people. And you know how it's amazing. You know how it came up? Nurse Dean in 2015 invited me to come in here and to give a talk. And I don't even know what I was talking about, Nurse Dean. Coping. And in order to share with people how to cope, I had to admit to myself that I had a problem. So 5 years it took me. So that's why I can work with you all so well. When you tell me that you don't believe this and you ain't bought into this and you want to try something else, okay? This is how I can identify with you, because I have been there. So according to the National Institute for Health and Care, okay, when a person is first diagnosed with diabetes, they will often go through similar psychological stages That's that of bereavement. Now let's talk. Okay? Bereavement. How many of you lost someone who's close to you? Okay, that's a very painful experience. Okay? Now, to be diagnosed with diabetes, and for the experts to say that the diabetes diagnosis is similar to what you go through when you've lost a loved one, it tells you how serious it is. So let's look at it. You see, think back. When you were diagnosed, when you first heard that you were diabetic, what was the first reaction? Disbelief, right? This can't be happening to me. Check those results again. Okay? I want a second opinion. I ain't taking no medication. Something wrong with this. It's disbelief. The same way when the phone rings at 2 o'clock in the morning and someone says, guess what? She's gone. And you're like, no, but I just talked to her a couple minutes ago. What you talking about? She's gone. It's the same type of experience. Denial. Now, denial is something else. Because when you are in denial, you know what you literally say? This ain't real. So what do you do when you're in denial? You pretend things haven't changed. So you go right along doing whatever you were doing. And then you dare people to stop you. So when my wife says, should you be eating that size, that portion of macaroni? And I look it up. And because she dared to ask me that, I take a second piece and put it on my plate. Okay? Because guess what? I don't believe I have it. And guess what? Everything that you hear on TV, on WhatsApp, you try. So you start reading and you say, you know something? Listen, you still have them soursop leaves in the back of the tree? Bring my bag full. Because I hear soursop, good for diabetes. Lesbian, I hear mango, bring some for me. Someone said, drink the fever grass. Okay? So you're doing all this. Everything that you could possibly do. Because you are in denial. And then when you begin to realize that, but I'm trying everything that they told me to try, and this ain't going away, then you get angry. Now, anger isn't red because you have to work through your anger. And who do you get angry at? Well, first of all, you get angry at yourself. Okay? Then sometimes you blame your parents. They should have known better. Then you blame your grandmother who was diabetic and why she passed this on to you through genes. Okay? You get angry at the doctor. You get angry at the whole world because you don't want to be a diabetic, but you've been diagnosed. And then you get depressed. Okay? And depressed is you become deflated. You start to think in terms of life not working out. Depression is very, very common for us diabetics. Denial of diabetes can affect people in different ways. Denial can be defined as the disbelief in the existence or reality of something which is true. It is therefore the opposite of acceptance. Okay? So as long as you are in denial, it means that you have not accepted. Okay? And until you accept, you're going to not make any progress. Okay? So let's go back to death. Sometimes when we're in denial of death, we don't move those clothes out of the bedroom because we say, they're coming back, why are you touching those things? Okay? That's an acceptance. That's not an acceptance. We're saying that there's still a possibility that that loved one's going to come back. So we're holding on to stuff. Okay? Even in our dreams and stuff like that, because we're missing the person, we haven't accepted the fact that the person has moved on. So that's what we do in denial. Denial affects people with diabetes in subtle and not so subtle ways. And there are many levels and layers of denial. So one of the things that we do here in through counseling is that we try to peel back, like when you're peeling an onion, you've got all those layers. We got to peel back those layers of denial. Okay? And people, and I could always tell when someone's in denial, they come, and after a couple of weeks, they say, I want to ask you something. I said, what? Someone was telling me about this new product, that if you use such and such and such, you just get rid of it. Okay? And I know someone who used that. You think that could work for me? And I say, oh boy, you haven't reached the point where you've accepted the fact that you're a person living with diabetes. You see, I need you guys to realize that despite the fact that you are diagnosed with it, it doesn't mean that life is over. We have to accept certain things, and then we have to move on. If you hold on to these old things, it becomes a problem. See, the best thing for me was to realize that I was no longer going to win the gold medal in the 100 meters at the Olympics. Once I accepted that, life blossomed for me. But for many years, I held on to this thing that I would be on the victory stand, and my Bahamian people would just be standing up there singing, lift up your hands. And I actually saw the tears coming down my eyes. And then I realized that I've reached a point in my life where I could barely walk up the stairs, but I run one. So now, life is free for me because I realize it's not going to happen. You see? And so we have to accept certain things and we have to move on. Diabetes, this is how you tell when someone's in denial. Diabetes is no big deal. There are worse things I could have. When you have people talking like that, you realize that they still have an acceptance plan. The more committed you are to taking care of your diabetes, the better your overall health outcomes will tend to be. So we have to shift focus. We have to get you to the point where instead of thinking that, oh, I just wish I didn't have this thing, you now have to shift thoughts and you have to look at it from the angle, how do I take better care of myself now that I find myself having this? You get that? Stop complaining about the fact that you have something and start motivating yourself. How do I improve myself despite the fact? Let me tell you something. As a people, and I can talk about my Bahamian people, as a people, we tend not to like to talk about our issues. We limit ourselves. I was driving downtown today in one of the cruise ships, and I saw people who were here on vacation who could barely walk. There was one guy in a wheelchair, and he had a gas tank. He was carrying around a gas tank because they've accepted the fact that there's some disabilities we have, but they also realize that life is not over. One of our challenges is when we get sick, okay, and when you have a public health issue like this, you start thinking about the grave. Child, write this down. Don't forget, let me start writing my obituary. Now, see that song there? I want them to sing that song. Okay? Yeah. We automatically associate it with the death sentence. And the fact is that we have lived and we will live long enough. We will outlive some people. I got this, whenever me and my wife get into this argument, and she reminds me, now you're supposed to be eating healthy. Don't do that. I'm not cooking any rice. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I remind her, I said, sweetheart, since we've been married, I have had 4 trainers. The healthiest persons. They work out at the gym. Okay? They only ate bran this and bran that and everything. And I say, guess what? They're all dead. All dead. Healthy persons. Okay? They did all the right stuff. Looked healthy. Did all the right stuff in the gym. 6-7 days a week. Okay? 4 of them. And all 4 are deceased. And you know what that said to me? It said to me that guess what? Yeah, I need to do some stuff, but I don't have to let it consume me to the point where I stop living life. You hear that? Don't allow things to consume you to the point that you stop living life. You have to experience each day. Okay? Life goes on despite whatever issues you're experiencing. I often hear some people say, why bother to care for myself? I'm going to die anyway. Diabetes care is about quality, not quantity. I want quality. Okay? Quality. What do I mean by that? If I'm going to live for the next 30 years, I want to make sure that I'm happy and I'm comfortable for the next 30 years. So I need to do whatever I need to do to ensure that the next 30 years is good. Some people just give up. I'm going to die anyhow. It makes no sense. That's where the depression comes in. And you start to feel as if everything is gone, you lost hope. You see, you have to bear in mind that it's not just the length of your life that is important, but the quality of the years you have remaining. You know, Luther used to sing the song, I'd rather have, who knows it? I had bad times with you than good times with someone else. Okay? It's the quality of life. It's the quality of relationships that we have to work on. This is the biggest one for denial. When I hear people say, I have a touch of diabetes. What's a touch of diabetes? You either have it or you don't have it. Or a little trace. That's like being a little pregnant, yeah. I like that one. Oh, I'm a little pregnant. Not quite yet, but a little. Okay? That is so important. You're either there or you're not. And if you believe that you don't have it, then you're not going to do what you need to do to get your life on track. You see? So you have to make the decision that, look here, I can take my insulin, okay? I can do what I need to do. I can change my lifestyle, but I'm still gonna enjoy life. Okay? So I don't want to hear no one talking about they got a little touch of this, a little touch of that. Okay? We even like that with the flu, I got a touch of the flu. Okay? It ain't hit me just yet, but I got a little touch of it. Okay? Diabetes and anger. Now, anger can be very, very destructive. Okay? Anger can impact on our physiology as well as our mental and emotional well-being. You don't want to be around someone who's angry. Okay? And there's some of us who live our lives based on anger. There's some of us who some things happened to many years ago, and we're still angry. Some of us have been through some abusive situations. Some of us have felt violated. Some of us have been robbed. Some of us have been cheated, and we're holding on to anger. There's a correlation between anger and high glucose. So if you've got anger in you, you need to work through it. That's one of the reasons why we offer the counseling services for diabetics, because there's some things that you've got to work through. Now let me tell you, a lot of times the anger, the issues that you're dealing with don't have to deal with your illness. They can be with some other issues that you have going on. So I've got, and I usually give this example, I've got, when I was 7, so that's 50 plus years ago, my aunt and uncle divorced. My uncle went on and remarried, and he has great grandchildren now. His wife never did. For 50 plus years, she still hates that man. She has not moved on to her life. In fact, the other day they pulled up at the he was driving, and he was driving a right-hand car, and he pulled up, and she was in the turning lane in the left-hand car, and after 50 years when she saw him, all she did was hawk and spit at him. 50 years. Now, you don't think 50 years is a long time to hold on to anger and not move on with your life? That man got great-grandchildren and you still pining away? Okay? So ask yourself, are there some issues that you need to address? Because you could do whatever you want to do. You could eat properly, you could take all of your medication, but that anger that's in your system is going to fuel and charge that glucose, and that's going to push it up. And you're going to come in here and you're going to say to Miss Dan, but I'm doing everything. I eat what you tell me to eat. I have the same portion, you know, the right portions. So why is your glucose so high? It's because of anger and stress, and we'll talk about stress later on as well. Okay? See, anger initiates the stress response. So you see the connection? Anger fuels stress. So now if you're angry and you got additional stress, you can imagine, well, no wonder your blood is always in the 600. You don't know what to do to bring it down. Because the anger and the stress, anger and stress within the body causes the blood sugar levels to rise, the heart rate, and blood pressure to increase. Okay? Now, it is normal for persons with diabetes to have anger. And this is why it's important. When you come in and you sit here with me, I talk to you, I ask you, what are you angry about? What are some of the stresses that you're experiencing? Where are these things coming from? Okay? Sometimes the anger has to do with relationships in your home. Okay? Sometimes the stress has to do with relationships. Man relationships, woman relationships, children relationships, in-law relationships, financial relationship problems. All of those things will fuel your stress and therefore fuel your blood. My best friend, if you see him, he is I would say he is the epitome of health. You see him walking there, he will tell you that he's been 160 pounds from he left high school. He's been wearing the same size clothing for the past 15 years. Okay? Ain't like me who fluctuates. But guess what? Each time we go to the doctor, my cholesterol, my blood pressure, and everything is much lower and better. And so he said, I mean, let me tell you how bad this guy is. He has oatmeals without sugar. The only thing he does is add cranberry and warm water. No. Okay? He doesn't put mayonnaise on sandwich. He plays tennis 3 times a week. He does everything by the book. And then he walks in and comes back and says, I said, what's your cholesterol count is? He said, da da da. I said, but mine's only such and such. And he looking at me as if, I said, no, let me show you it. This is my report. And so he sat with the doctor, and the doctor said, you're doing everything right, but it's got to be the job. You're in a stressful environment. So you need to make a decision, because it's not good for you. You understand where I'm coming from? Okay? Depression is common amongst people with diabetes. So we got anger, we got depression. The reason why we have you here as well and we provide counseling services is because in order to undo depression, there has to be expression. When people become depressed, they hold on to things, they don't talk. Okay? They sit there and they feel, any of you ever worried? You know, sometimes when you worry, sometimes you yeah, and you're just sitting there and people say, what's happening? Because the first thing they notice when you're depressed is that you're not talking. Okay? They notice that you're not talking, so they say, what's wrong? Talk to me, tell me about it, it can't be that bad. The first thing that we do in counseling is we get people talking. Because when you talk, you begin to express. And when you express, you get things out of your system. It doesn't mean that the problems are automatically solved. But taking a problem from the inside and putting it outside makes a lot of difference. You ever notice how things are scary at night? I got a phone call 3 o'clock in the morning from my neighbor across the street, and she's telling me that someone's trying to get into her house. So I'm looking across at her house, and I don't see anyone. And she says, someone is standing at the gate. She said, you don't see him, he's shaking the gate. Okay? And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, from your angle, you see someone there. I don't see anyone. Okay? You know what the problem was? It was a windy night, and there was a loose garbage bag. And the garbage bag, the wind was blowing the garbage bag up against her. But from her perceptual view, she saw someone shaking the gate, and she heard the rattling. Okay? I didn't even think to mention it was a garbage thing until the next morning when the garbage thing was stuck to the gate. You see, because of the amount of breeze. Okay? But you see how stressed she was because of it? And it's a good thing that she talked. She had enough sense to call and say, look, please, someone look at it. Because someone else would have sat there and worried they could have worked themselves up a heart attack. Because you panic, you're thinking someone out there. So we need to look at depression. So we ask you about things that are bothering you, we ask you about concerns, and we're trying to get you to talk about it. See, depression is the most common psychiatric disorder witnessed in the diabetes community. So expect depressed. Expect to experience it. Expect highs and expect lows. Just like with your glucose count. Goes up, it comes back down, goes up, comes back down. Expect that there are going to be times when you're feeling good and then for some reason, okay, you feel a little low. People with diabetes suffering from depression are at greater risk of suffering from an episode of diabetic burnout. Now, let's talk about diabetic burnout because it happened. It happened to me recently, okay? So I don't want you to think that any of us are immune from it. What's diabetic burnout? You get tired of being a diabetic. Any of you ever been burned out from work? I can't take this no more. Usually with burnout, it would be suggested that you take vacation. You need to get away. Okay? You got to do something different. Well, you're going to experience it as well. In substance abuse, we call it a relapse. Okay? Someone goes out on a weekend, they're supposed to use the drugs, and they just go on a binge. Okay? But diabetic burnout means that you reach a point in your life where sometimes you just think, I can't take this anymore. I need to do something else. And so you become very relaxed, okay? You become very relaxed. You don't focus, you don't take things seriously. In fact, what most people do is that they stop taking their monitoring themselves on a daily basis. They start eating lots and lots of sweets. They go totally off course. Okay? Because they're just sick and tired of going through the routine. That's expected. But now that you know that it's going to happen, what are you going to prepare, and what are you prepared to do about it? Okay? Let's define depression again. Persistent sadness or anxiety, a feeling of hollowness, an overriding feeling of hopelessness and negativity. Feeling helpless and powerless to change your situation. Loss of interest in activities or pleasures. The things that you usually enjoy, you no longer enjoy. This depression is a part of the burnout. Lower energy and increased fatigue, insomnia, oversleeping, awakening early in the morning, concentration problems, memory problems, and indecisiveness. Let me tell you what happened to me a couple of weeks ago when I was experiencing burnout. I would get up in the morning and I would leave and to go to work. And I would stop because I wanted something to eat. And I'd walk in the restaurant and eat, and then I'd turn around, and oh my goodness, I didn't bring my wallet. That hasn't happened. Something was wrong with that. The first time the folks said, "Man, look here, you always in here. You can catch up, okay?" But then it happened 3 times in 1 week. So my wife says to me, "Where's your mind? I'm a little concerned because this has happened too often in one day." How do you get, because it's a routine for me. You get up, you get dressed, you put on your pants before you make sure you put your wallet in. Okay? Didn't happen. But 3 times in 1 week, it means that's it. Okay? You can always tell when someone is depressed. They start to dwell on death or suicide. Death or suicide. Restlessness, weight change, and decreased or increased appetite. When you go on the burnout, you start to pick up, or you lose a lot of weight. We were dealing with one of our clients, and 1 week and 12 pounds. That's not something wrong with that picture. There's something else going on. People who starving themselves trying to lose 12 pounds to fit into one outfit for Saturday, for this bed. They ain't eating. I mean, they doing everything to fit into the outfit. And you supposedly do taking you and eating on time and stuff like that, and you drop 12 pounds, something's wrong. Okay? There's other things going on. Okay? So, let's go through it because I want everyone to understand it. Diabetes burnout, disregard of blood sugar level management. Okay? You know how I can tell? I walk into the food store and I'm starting to feel that. And I look and I see cookies. And I don't want just that little part of cookies. I want the 100 count. And then I start. And then I get some milk to go there. And I start. And my wife says to me, "What are you doing? Are you supposed to be eating?" And of course, my famous luck again. And the mere fact that you challenge me, I mean, I'm going back for another handful, so I can say to you, I can show you who's man inside here. Okay? And just because you did, I can have a couple more. Okay? Disregard for blood sugar. I don't care. I just can do whatever I want to do. Okay? You're frustrated. Okay? Ask me when I last checked my blood then. Okay, when you're going through burnout, I'm checking that because you don't want to. Okay? So she says, "Did you prick yourself?" "No." "So how do you know?" "Well, I don't feel bad. I feel good." Okay? Often it's because you've been dealing with the situation for many, many years. Okay? And it's just like, I can't take it. My type 1's, my type 1 children, sometimes my heart goes out to them because sometimes they come in and they say, "I'm just sick and tired of this. I'm just tired of having to spit myself. I'm just tired of having to be different." Okay? And so their challenges are, look, I want to eat the pizza and I want to eat the fried chicken and I want to eat the corned beef and rice and all those things that they're serving at school. Okay? I'm tired of being different. And when we get to that point, this is what happens. We feel like we gotta just break loose and have some fun. Stress. This is what we're talking about. Stress has been proven to impact on all blood sugar levels. Stress, whether physical stress or mental stress, has been proven to instigate changes in blood sugar levels. So let me clarify this. Whether you have a hard working, demanding job, or whether you got a lot of stuff going on up here, it's still stress. We live in a very stressful society, which is constantly putting us under pressure. This pressure can sometimes be too much to handle, leading us to feel stressed out. This everyday feeling can be caused by simple things such as work pressure. Now, in the 40 years that I've been working, when I first started out working at Sandilands, that was fine because I was a single young man, okay, living at home, the Ministry of Health paid me, let's spend, wasn't that much, but it was able to get me through. Okay? Once I got married, that money was not sufficient, so that was stress. So I needed to find a job that gave me sufficient money in order to be able to support my wife and the kids. Okay? But my trade-off, the corporate world, also came with some stress. Because working in corporate world is very, very stressful. I developed high blood pressure, high cholesterol, okay? Diabetes, all of those came from working in the corporate world. So I want you to understand that there's some plagues that come with nice rewards. Okay? All that glitters isn't gold. It got to the point where on a typical Sunday night, I had to pop pills just to go to work the next day. When do you think that you gotta take Motrin and leave and stuff because you have a headache just thinking about having to go to work the next morning? That's the problem. Now, this phase in my life, my children are grown, okay? With hindsight, I would not do that again. Even though I'm making half as much money as I made in corporate world, I am much happier. My medical issues are not as severe as they were in corporate world. And sometimes in life you have to make choices. So the other day I was propositioned as do you want to come back in the corporate world? And I thought about that would be really, really nice to have that amount of money. But I also thought about my flexibility and the fact that as I work now, every semester my schedule changes. I haven't worked on Fridays for 5 or 6 years. Okay, am I willing to give that up for a couple extra dollars? No. Sometimes in life you have to make a choice. Now, sometimes in life you have to make choices with your health. Okay? Flight 702 non-stop to New York is about to take off. Okay? In the event of turbulence, a gas mask will appear. I want you to put your gas mask on you first before attending to other people, even little children. If you are not able to take care of yourself, you cannot take care of other people. So let's talk about this stress, say marriage and relationships. There's some things, some people you have to put behind you in order for your own survival. And let me tell you something. There's some spouses and there's some children. They can't wait to see you go. They can't wait to see you go. A good friend of mine told me the other day, she told me, she said, she reached a certain age, and her husband reached a certain age, and she overheard her 3 children plotting. Said they gotta do something because if they continue to let them two run the family business, the business that they built over 50 years. So they now wanna get a lawyer involved because they want power of attorney. And she said, hell no. Say, I need you to love your children, invest in your children, okay? But let them go. Your duty is to raise children who are independent and who can survive on their own. You don't need 30 and 40-year-olds living, milking, and waiting around for your demise and what you're leaving for them. Okay? So take care of yourself. You know how many of my clients have said to me, I can't eat because I gotta do this. As soon as I get my little money, this one needs it. No, you gotta get your medication. You have to get your medication. So what should happen is that you get your medication first. And then once you have your medication, or you have your healthy food, you shouldn't be eating corned beef and rice every night because you have to give so and so $30 because they need this for fun day. You having fun. My sugar up here. You have to be practical. Okay? And then drop it. Be careful. Don't let these people on the streets cross your blood for them. Okay? See, I'm mad with you because where are you all when I need you all? Let these people pull it up on the side of me, okay?
Or when somebody says to you, when someone just like that.
Yeah, but the thing is that, you know, let me get off on you now, right? You go to the States, right? You just miss and run a red light or go over 65 and you have pull on the side, right? It's like that every corner waiting. Over here.
Are you blocking the intersection?
Yeah.
And then some people don't have nowhere to go and they still blocking it when you can and then going left nowhere right there.
Traffic is one of the biggest stresses here. And people, we got a lot of angry drivers. No one is your friend on the street. People who I know, they keep their heads straight. And sometimes I'm on the edge of a corner and I'm pumping, trying to get their attention. And I'm saying, look at my uncle there. Uncle Pat, let me out. And Uncle Pat, and he refused. Because this whole thing, if he look and he see me, he may be forced. And the thing is, if he let me out, he gotta let someone else out. You see? And the rest of blowing. You see? Angry people. Let me tell you, you know how many times I'm driving and I say to myself, you know what? Is there a way I can hit them? Hurt them, but not kill them? Because sometimes I just want to take up my rage, you know? Oh yeah. Well, I got the best one for you. This lady, I was in HR there. This lady, man, I wanted to come up the corner because I had interviews set up for 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'm driving, coming in, you know, Prince Charles, full of traffic. And I saw her and I said, okay, I must could get out. Let me tell you, she turned around and she cussed me stink. Right? She cussed me stink. I felt, you know, later, I was so, I got to my office, I walked in the office, and then the interview started. Well, of course, guess who was the first? Yes. Yes. And when she walked in there,
Please tell me your.
and I walked in there, and she looked at me, and I looked at her, and the only thing she said, I guess I shouldn't sit for this interview. And I said, no. I said, don't sit. I said, but let me tell you what I'm gonna do. Because of the way I feel about you right now, I am gonna get my deputy to come in and interview you. Because if I had to interview you, I don't think you would get the job. Yeah. So I excused myself. Is it? But yeah. You see, and we have to. That's how we have to be in life. We have to learn to diffuse anger, and see this also. Then we hold things in. Okay, resentment is another thing that pushes our stress, but also push our glucose levels up. When you hold, because you know what resentment is? Resentment is you hold on to old feelings. Okay, so we have to begin to deal with it. So, healthy coping. How do we cope? Well, first of all, we have to take time for reflection and relaxation. Okay? You have to relax. Now, our parents had it wrong. You know, our parents used to tell us that we thought that the opposite of work was play. That's how I grew up. So my dad used to say, when you finish your work, you can play. Okay? But I was reading a couple of years ago and someone clarified it. They say the opposite of work is relaxation. Play is something totally different. Okay? Play has to be included in your life regardless. but you need to relax. Okay? This is why if you notice anything about the educational system, even the scholarships and stuff like that now, that there's a catering towards education, but also recreational activities. Because sports is as important to your overall development as education. No longer do they give jobs to just the person with the highest GPA. It's the highest GPA, or it's a high GPA, but it's also community involvement and also extracurricular. So this is why you see people who are playing tennis and running track and swimming and doing dance and all of those things, because that makes a well-rounded person. The American Medical Association a number of years ago changed the criteria. Instead of just taking people who were 3.8 to 4.0 for medical school, they dropped it to 3.4 to 3.8. That's the groove, because persons who have that middle GPA also have a life. And when you're a medical doctor, you have to have a life, and you have to also be able to relate to people. If you spend all your time studying, but you don't know how to interact with people, you don't need to be a doctor. You need to be a scientist. Think about when you're sick, okay? Think about if you have an issue, and there's Dean brain you in the back there to me, and you walk in there and I say, hello, what's your problem? And you're trying to, you want to divulge information, but I am not relatable.
And of course, that person get angry, and then they say that person was rude. Eventually they got it from the first reaction.
So learn how to meditate. Second, journal. Maintain a journal. Write things down. We do it for all sorts of things. Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers tells you they tell you to keep a journal to monitor. Here at DRI, you have journals. We tell you, keep your food intake. Okay? Journal your blood readings so that you know. Whenever there's a high, associate it. What has been happening? Why is it a little higher today? Okay? Notice that sometimes when you've been around certain people, you're glucose count go. So now you realize that, look here, I don't need to be around those, because whenever I'm around so and so, that send my blood pressure, that send my glucose count up. So you have to journal. We don't like to journal. We don't like to journal. You know, we could make millions of dollars. I look at it the other day. Adele gets a heartbreak, and Adele just makes music after music after music after music, and she sells songs, and everyone is sitting around singing, hello from the others, you know? Jay-Z cheats on Beyonce. Beyonce grabs a bat and breaks the windshield, and she puts out an album called Lemonade and makes millions of dollars. She uses her heartache and her problems to make money. We need to start talking about what's going on with us. Yeah.
On them songs she's right, she must hear out every day.
Well, you have, I don't know if you keep up, Adele hasn't come up with an album for a couple of years, and she says that she has it because she's married and has a baby. So she's happy. So she don't no longer need to write them kind of songs because everything going well.
I figured as much. That's she had the baby reading Jane.
Yeah.
She fine man.
And she found happiness.
Yeah.
You see? But we have to write some stuff down. Some of us got some stories. Beyonce and Adele can't even touch. Some of us been through some stuff. But the thing is that we're too embarrassed to put it out. Okay? Not only do we put it out to make money, we put it out for other people. Because part of other people need to know your story. Other people need to learn what's your story. Okay? I saw a young lady today who dealing with childhood molestation, and she said, I know of some other young girls who've gone through this. She said, I was trying to decide whether or not to say anything or to share it. And at the end of the session, she finally said, I think I'm going to share it because I think that I can help more young based on what I went through. I don't want other young girls to go through it. So sometimes we have to journal so that we could help other people. Physical activity, we've got to work out. You've got to work out. I don't care what you've got to do something. Even if you just dance, walk inside your house, whatever. Okay, you've got it, and deep breathing. Okay? Deep breathing. Sometimes you just gotta take a deep breath. And before you say something else, you know, again, if you say something, if I tell you something that I'm feeling right now, okay. So there's some psychosocial factors in diabetes care. We're almost there. Okay? Non-adherence. Why do we lose? Why do we fail? Well, first of all, inadequate social support. We need each other. We need each other. Later in the semester, we're going to have a session where we want you to bring your significant others. Because when your significant other is involved with your treatment, it helps. Okay? For years, my wife was trying to get me to go with her to Weight Watchers, and I used to say, you go and bring the stuff on. I can help you. Okay? And then after the second day, then she said, well, I could only eat such and such. Are we just eating this? And I said, well, I don't know about that, because I feel like I could eat a ladies, or, you know, I want to crack on. And she said, but you ain't helping me. Okay? Now that I am diabetic, I realize how important it is. So I'm even telling my daughter, I want you to look for healthy recipes for me. Okay? And if we could get the whole family eating healthy, then the fact is that you should only have to cook one meal. Okay? So get support. Time precious. You need to prepare. When you're diabetic, you have to prepare. Because if you don't prepare for your food, it means what's going to happen is that when you're hungry, boy, look here, it's hard to pass KFC, and especially when they have that little $5 full up, yeah, with them the spicy wings and the fries and stuff like that, and then you rationalize it. You say stuff like, well, ain't nothing home to eat, and people hungry, and I gotta eat on time, and I gotta take my medication. Oh, that's my favorite one. You know me. You know me so well. Okay? And 10 o'clock come, and my wife said, why are you eating that? Oh, I have to take my last tablet for the night. I need some. And she says, but you know when you should be taking this. Why you? Okay? So, stress, health beliefs. Okay? Health beliefs. Let me touch on that. I'm a church guy. I'm a God-fearing guy. Okay? But let's be practical. Okay? Don't let no one fool you and tell you, don't do this, and just leave it up to so and so. Okay? Faith and works go hand in hand. You have faith, but you have to work as well. I have lost a number of friends who have done nothing. Okay? Okay? See, God works in mysterious ways. The mere fact that God sent you here to deal with some of us means that was help. You see? Do what you gotta do. Don't let no one tell you, oh, don't take that medication. Just go natural. I talk about the hair. I talk about nature. You know? Do this, do that, do this. Yeah. Okay? So, you have to be wise. And we fall prey to health beliefs. Okay? Depression, anxiety, eating disorders, all of those things interfere. Okay? Got it? Questions? Yes.